Welcome to the Practice Marketing Podcast, highlighting successful strategies for North America's fastest growing clinics and experts so you can learn from their wins and power your practice growth. Hi, I'm your host, Neil Trickett, CEO of Practice Promotions, and today's focus, we're going to talk about should you outsource your PT billing, and we'll be talking here with Motaz Ebeido, who is the founder and CEO of Hands of Hope, a fast-growing physical therapy practice with 16 locations across New York City. And he's also the founder of GoBill, a company that helps healthcare clinics run smoother and get paid faster with expert virtual front desk assistants and billing professionals. And so with over 10 years of experience in both patient care, business operations, and billing, Motaz knows what it takes to grow a successful practice from the inside out. And whether it's building strong teams or fixing billing headaches, he's all about helping clinics thrive. So Motaz, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you. And I appreciate the introduction.
Yeah, so Motaz and I have known each other for a little while here. He's also a Practice Promotions client, so we have the pleasure of working with him. And he's a business whiz, so I'm really excited to talk with you today, Motaz. And in your experience, as you've worked not only with your own clinic, but lots of other clinics, what's the biggest financial mistake you see PT clinics making today?
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here with you as well and talk with you about this beautiful podcast. And it's one of the resources that I constantly reference to and get my executive team to look at it as well. So to your question, one of the biggest financial mistakes I think PT practice would do is we, we we're very oriented to focus on growth. So we're very aggressive when it comes to patient care, patient outcomes, hiring more PTs, expanding schedules, giving healthcare access to more patients, and so on and so forth. And we just have the underlying assumptions as PTs that means more revenue, but sadly, it's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot more into the finance of the PT that the CPAs are not usually able to advise very well on it unless they have a lot of expertise into that area. And the bridge between the billing to finance is something that PT should have constant questions that they're able to answer to themselves and to others to make sure that they are on the right track. So, questions like, how much am I getting paid per visit, per CPT? How quick am I getting paid? And, those kind of questions are things that needs to be answered. So,
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah, and I know like if we just look at business in general, right?
yes,
And PT clinics are a business. We're in the business of
yes,
helping people. We've got marketing, we've got operations, and we've got finance.
yes,
And so we gravitate to what we know well, which is operations, right? How to
operations,
treat
yes,
patients, how to work with clinicians, all this other stuff. And there's a lot of headaches that can come in operations too.
yes,
But finance is, it's, we don't get a lot of training in school around finance. We don't get training in, that much in college, or we don't get that much training in PT school. And, there's so much to learn around the insurance world, the billing world, all the clearing houses, all the headaches and complexity there is to that system. And then you also have all the revenue cycle management part, right? And
yes.
working with your P&Ls and learning about the finance of managing a business. It's complex, right? And so I think one thing I see as clinics grow and expand is that you have to expand those capabilities within your business too, and you need to leverage experts that know it, and you don't have to work at trying to figure out and keep up to date with all the changing world of billing and insurance and all the complexities of that too. And so one of the things as you work with clinics on the billing side of things is why can't a PT clinic just hire one good biller and call it a day?
I'll echo what you just said. There is a lot that goes into a billing that is so hard to grasp from one person, regardless how good they are. So, the constant changing insurance policies, the constant changing clearinghouses, which EMRs that are best fit for your practice. Why are those EMRs the best? What's the cost of your billing? What's the cost of your visit? There is a lot of analytics that goes into the billing, and then on the revenue cycle maximization, are we underpaid according to the contractual rate? Are we paid fairly? What CPTs are paid, what CPTs are not, how they are bundled, and so on and so forth. So I don't think it's a one person job anymore. I believe it needs a system and process, and I think it is designed, sadly, to challenge small practices. It is designed in a manner that is, as you said, you don't get enough training for, you don't know the ins and outs of it, and honestly, a lot of it is not even documented properly. If you go in insurance portals, read their manuals, it's not even documented properly. So it's a lot of accumulated knowledge of practicing for years and years, and coaching and guiding and helping out a lot of practices that gets you the okay, where the trends are, how it looks like, and from there you're able to craft a unique personalized situation for community by community and clinic by clinic. So I think it's an easy winging it case if you're hiring a person. Plus, I think it's too much liability to have it as an owner on a person other than yourself, unless you are willing to invest in a whole system where you would have people who are specialized in doing eligibilities, people who are authorized in the verification of benefits, people who knows how to do denial management, people who is able to track your AR days and AR, and then obviously people who are able to do analytics. And if you're able to invest in a whole system, then great. But if not, I don't think hiring one good biller to do an admin task would do it for you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I learned well, first off, let me just say it was fascinating hearing you explain that, because I totally agree in that it's a game that's rigged against you as a small business owner, right? And that the whole purpose is for the insurance companies not to pay you for the
Yes.
services that you've delivered. That's just the game. And so we have to play the game
Yes.
and beat them at it, right? And I totally agree. I remember in my practice, we had one person that was our office manager that also did our billing and everything like that. And we grew, and she had issues at home, and then that started to affect performance at work. And then all of a sudden, it's like we're starting to have a lot of financial trouble. We're delivering great care, our patient visit numbers, everything's doing well, but we're not getting paid, and there's a lot of denials and all kinds of things that are happening. And so, after we had to let her go, I totally revamped our billing that we did, and I actually had to hire one person who just did all the billing and authorizations and everything that needed to go out, and then one person that was just working on collections and rebills and all kinds of other things that way. And it took two people full time to really
Yep.
get caught up and then stay on top of things. And that was 15, 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So today,
Yes. But it
you
was
get it,
easier.
right? It's insane. So yeah, I totally agree with you that and I find this a lot too in from the marketing side with practices, is that sometimes we expect way too much from one person in our clinic, and we expect one person to be an expert in all the complexities of billing and authorizations and collections, and then we expect someone to be an expert in all the dynamics of marketing, and from being advertising specialist to SEO specialist to web person to content, like social media expert. Like we expect a lot, and you have to be scrappy and do what you can in a small business, right? But as you
Yes.
grow, you have to realize that you have to diversify those different things. So really fascinating for you to say that.
And to your point, Neil, in the HR and like running businesses in general, the rule of thumb is every employee that you change probably costs you one third of their salary, just in like the termination, the onboarding of something that somebody new, the recruitment process, the sorting of candidates, the interview time, the time the other candidate needs, or the new onboarded employee needs to get up to speed, and so on and so forth. It costs you one third of his annual salary, with certain job descriptions that plays with the finance and with the cash flow and with the financial health of the organization. Uh, I don't want to say it might cost one third of of the annual revenue of the organization, but it's a lot more than the one third of
The salary.
the
Yeah.
salary. And then again, to your point, is just the expectations. So like uh, we do have a marketing team in house. However, like we are complemented by the experts that practice promotion has, right? So practice promotion has a tons of expertise in a very unique vertical industry, focusing on the rehab, focusing on the healthcare, and then having diversified set of skills that you could always dip into and just get the information. So, yes, expectations from one person should be realistic, but again, even assuming you have that one superhuman, it's a very high risk from a replacement if and when anything is to happen.
Good point. Good point. And so, you hear this where some owners are out there talking about billing companies, and they may have got burned by a bad billing company in the past, or they're just not happy with what's happening. But they might say it's just a middleman. So,
Yeah.
in your experience as you've worked with clients and your approach at GoBill, like what do you say is the difference there in terms of what you guys look at compared to like a traditional billing company?
So, people get skeptical, and that's normal. That's understandable, and I don't argue that as like you could make the statement. It is a middleman, right? So is the CPA, so is the lawyer with the court system, so is your broker with the insurance. Your job as an owner is just to vet a good one, right? And as any pool of businesses, there is the good and there is the mediocres, and your job is just to vet a good one. So what makes GoBill difference is it was built from within a physical therapy practice, and it was the engine to drive the growth of that practice to become as successful as 16 locations in an extremely high competitive market as New York, and competitive from the rising cost, and competitive from the number of competitors, and competitive from being one of the worst from reimbursement across the country. So, you know, it's GoBill is not a corporate that would just submit your claims, is not a corporate that would just do the task, but it would give you a comprehensive 360 solution that bridges the gap to your finance. So you're having a same language that you could speak to with your CPA, and then they could advise you about your financial health. And then we run all kinds of stat that would help you do prediction for cash flow, that would help you know when you're getting paid based on the insurance trends, and you would know exactly which time for each claim is getting paid. And through working through some of our automation and AI tools, we're able to tell you, okay, this week you will receive that much of money, that much of funds, and we're usually 98% accurate on that. So
Mhm. That's really cool, and I'd say that's something that if I was in practice again, I would be looking for is that it's almost like an advisor when it comes to the financial side and that part of it because yeah, you can process claims, but some of the things that I hear a lot of times where people are frustrated is that the billing company just doesn't get it. Like they still have to do all the work pretty much, and the billing company is just kind of submitting stuff and processing on the back end. But there is so much that goes into making sure that your cash flow is coming in and
yes,
that you have the predictability so that you can make the decisions in your practice. You have to have that, right? And the bigger that you get, the bigger those swings can be. When your payroll
yes,
might be 30,000, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000,
yes,
that you need to know when that cash is coming in really really
yes.
fast, right?
Yes, yes, and then again, even if there is an issue, you want to have as much information as you could to predict accordingly. So you would kind of know when things are happening, and instead of just like praying for it to happen. So
Mhm.
if it's not going to happen on Friday, and you could tell, okay, I'm going to get it done by Tuesday. At least you know that Tuesday is the day that you're able to pull it off. So yeah.
Right. And so, there's obviously a lot of clinics that have billers in-house,
Yes.
and even at, growing sizes, multi-location clinics. So I'm curious for you, like, what do you find is sort of those hidden costs from doing billing in-house versus, if you're going to pay a billing company a certain percentage of your revenues?
So the hidden costs are the revenues are not actualized, that we don't get to see, right?
Mhm.
So your contract with an insurance company is at $90 a visit, and you get paid 82, and you call it a day, right?
Mhm.
There is an authorization that has been pending that hasn't been followed up upon, and you call
Mhm.
it a day.
Yeah.
A wrong eligibility that could cost you, like a copay or a deductible that you're not able to actualize eventually. So I think it's just like, again, the process. If someone is having like a full team with a full process backed up by data analytics and integration with finance, then they're good to go. Like, it happened through my career that I go to a practice and I'm like, you guys are doing great. There's not much for me to help you. But those are the ones that are usually suspicious, or like, they're usually second guessing themselves if they could do better. But most of the people that would tell you, oh, I'm doing great, and then you actually dive in, you would find they're losing 20, 25, 15% of the revenue that they could be making from the same amount of work.
Yeah.
And then, when you just show it to them, it makes a lot of difference. And then sometimes it's not the revenue lost, but it's also when are you getting your money? And as you mentioned, at a scale, there is a cost of funding. So if you have, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 that are tied up in AR unnecessarily, and you're using your line of credit for that, you're paying $30,000 extra a year that are, your practice could use definitely in marketing, for instance. So
Yeah, I think that's one thing as a business owner, we can get so like we can get so fixated on just the visible costs, right?
yes,
So I'm comparing, okay, it cost me this much for salary, health insurance, whatever, for say a bill or in-house, and then that might be actually a little cheaper than if I did a billing company. But
yes,
then when you take into account those factors of like the hidden costs, right,
yes,
that you might actually be losing a lot more money from these little idiosyncrasies, right?
yes, yes.
Um, that you don't see visible. You'd have to like really dig in, have a lot of analytics, and be able to see, what, we are losing a lot of money in this area, and that difference there could be way more than if we just outsourced some of that service.
The top 10% of PT owners aren't just surviving, they're thriving. But what's their secret? Well, Neil Trickett's new Market to Grow book reveals how the top 10% of PT practices leverage marketing systems to simultaneously grow their new patients, attract top talent, and boost profit in their practice. You can learn from their secrets. Visit practicepromotions.net/book to claim your free copy of Market to Grow. Yes, you heard that right. We are shipping a free copy of Market to Grow to all podcast listeners who want it. Just visit practicepromotions.net/book to claim your free book. And now back to the show.
Yeah, and so as business owners, we're wired to think about the cost. I think what we should be more concerned of is the value. So every investment that you make should get an ROI, and that investment could be, customer acquisition, could be in hiring, could be in billing, could be, whatever investment you decide to make, could be in new equipments, whatever investment you decide to make, you need to think of the ROI. And then if there is then ROI for the cost, then let the cost be as much as it could be.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So, you obviously handle a lot with the billing side of it, the revenue cycle management part of it, and then you've also worked with clinics on the front desks, right? And
Yes.
assistance there. So, can you tell us a little bit about what you find that practices struggle, with that front desk turnover, and what you've been able to do to help fulfill that role?
Yeah. Sometimes challenges gets us to think of solutions, and then when you do them, you find that why didn't we do that long time ago, right? So, the post COVID workforce market is a lot different, and there is a very high turnover, especially in entry level jobs. And with that, again, it goes back to the cost of training, and the cost of hiring, and the cost of sorting candidates, and so on and so forth. Um, when you couple that with, again, the system that is designed for us not to be paid, it gets very complicated, and then the reimbursements gets a lot less, and so on and so forth. So, in my personal opinion, and I tell that to all physical therapists, I think physical therapy should move beyond the era of having a front desk altogether. I don't think that job description should be there anymore. I think what a therapist should have as a support system is more of an engagement specialist, a care coordinator, where they're able to engage meaningfully in the patient care rather than just saying the hi and bye and scheduling appointments. And then the details of eligibilities authorizations, verifications, checking benefits, all those beautiful things should just be part of the billing cycle. And billers are usually better equipped to handle it, and they know the intricate details of it, and they are the one that gets burned if they're not done properly. So, my thought is like, as a billing company, I would rather just do it all because it's easier to do it that manner than having back and forth communications that sometimes are not necessary. And then it's just like, again, I from a financial point, I highly advise owners usually to just eliminate that job description altogether and use it in a more interactive, impactful, meaningful way to the patient care.
Very interesting. So how does that? Are you have implement that with Hands of Hope physical
Yes.
therapy? How does
Yes.
that work?
Great. We have more square footage because now we don't have waiting areas, right? So we have more
Like,
square footage we're able to use. We're able to accommodate more patients on the floor at the same time.
yeah.
It got people into the culture of like, patients walks in, they need to be seen now a little bit more.
Mhm.
So, it works a lot better. We think like, it improved the overall dynamic in the clinics.
Mm.
There is less back and forth between the admin and the therapy, and then I think it's just healthy from a vibe perspective to take this whole transaction of, okay, your insurance said that, or you said that in the facility, and just have this happen in the back end, whether before or after the appointment,
Right.
and have the clinic just be strictly about patient care, 100%.
Fantastic. That's really interesting. So, and I'm sure. I mean, for me, this is a little bit of a different concept, and I'm sure for some of our audience too. So, and I know you're super innovative on the front end. So I'm curious if I'm a patient and I call in to Hands of Hope physical
Yes.
therapy. What does the flow look like? Who sets up like all of that appointment scheduling? How does that work? And then when I come into clinic, like how does that work? I'm curious.
So what we have done, and I just tell you off the bat that this did save us around. We started that back in 2023, and this did save us around 14% over our payroll.
Wow.
Other than just the improvements that we were able to do. So,
Mhm.
we centralized everything. So basically, if you call, there is somebody who's going to pick up the phone, start the patient journey with you, send you a text with the location, the date, the time you want to book, what to expect in your first visit, and you know talk to you about your insurance plan, about your copay, about your deductible, get that taken care of, and then you walk into the facility. That's it. You just need to be seen for the appointment. And then when you centralize that, there's a lot of automation of those processes that you're able to do just to enhance the process. And then when you centralize that, you're able to work better on the number of front desks to number of therapists, because you could basically get one front desk to handle the schedule of multiple therapists instead of like a 1-to-1 ratio or 1-to-2 ratio. And then you're freeing up more resources to hire, train, and continually educate therapists. So everyone runs their practice the way they like. Some people are not comfortable with what I just said, and they feel it's too much forward thinking. But from our experience, and we have the data to prove it, it worked marvelously.
That's fantastic. And so, all right, so I'm done with my session for the day,
Yes.
and I need to make more appointments. Do you kind of get to know like, oh, I got to call scheduling here to schedule more appointments? Like, what happens within the clinic? Say like the person's leaving and they need to schedule some more
So the
appointments.
patient care coordinator, the person who's involved a lot in the patient care and the engagement of the process, would tell you, okay, I would see you at that time next time. Would that work for you? And then you could just schedule it right now and then, or even sometimes the therapist does that, and then boom, the appointment is there. And then on the back end, their job is to make sure that confirmations are happening, and there is a reminder text an hour before the appointment. So you get a confirmation call a day before, you get a reminder text an hour before, and that helps with the show up rate.
Yeah, that's
And then
awesome.
again,
Go ahead.
it's all happening within a process and a system. It's not relying on one person. It's not a front desk thing. It's not a biller thing. It's a process that involves tons of people that are doing it for tons of facilities, and they're having the standard. And then again, the exposure and learning from one facility to another gets people to have like that collective subconscious knowledge, other than the database that is available for knowledge as well. So.
That's really cool. And I agree. Like, if we go shoot, they even have McDonald's now without any
Yes.
people in it, right?
Yeah.
Like they have the Flippy Burger robot and stuff in the back, and I mean it's probably someone just coming and putting supplies. But I think there's three of them now. There's like three McDonald's that are running without any people in it. It's sort of like
Yeah.
the it used to be that people felt weird when there wasn't a person interacting with them in certain parts of the job, right?
Yeah.
But I think like you said, post COVID, the way that AI's gone, the way that our online culture has gone, like we expect convenience and the ability to
Yes.
book online and be able to do so many things by ourselves. That in healthcare we've kind of been behind the curve of a lot of the
As
industry.
usual.
Yes. So, to see that you're doing this, and it makes a lot of sense, especially, it might be different if you're a one location practice and, you're a small clinic, maybe a couple providers, and that makes sense for you to have someone that can be there who's kind of handling that role of front desk and the kind of the ambassador too. But I can imagine if you're like a 2, 3 plus location practice, now you have to have, not just one or two people at front desk, but you get multiple times to cover, multiple jobs to cover within there. And so, the administrative costs goes up and up and up as you
Yes.
have those multiple locations, and you've got 16 locations. So
Yes.
that really made
And
you look at like, how can we consolidate this, have a much different system and experience for the patient. And I know, like, for so many practice owners out there, the front desk is one of the biggest headaches. It's also one of the most
yeah.
important positions in the practice, but you're right in that turnover, having to retrain all the time, and then maybe the person doesn't work out 2, 3 months later, and they have to go and they got to start all over again, and it can cost you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yes.
on that turnover, right?
And few points to that you just mentioned, like, if you, like, on the people interacting inside the facility side of things, right? So if from a marketing end, if you're tracking the reviews, you would find a lot more complaints that comes from the interactions that happens at the front desk than the ones that happens with the actual providers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, you have people interacting. You just need to, open that space, remove those walls, and let people interact, right?
Hmm.
So, and again, like, we do have the SOPs, like, of any practice, and, we're happy to share that out of goodwill, even if they're not our clients and they just want to go through that process. We're happy to guide them through it. And we're happy to share those challenges and walk them through the steps. Yeah, the more practices out there that are doing better, the better it is for our profession. So,
Yeah. And again, I think just for our audience out there, getting people to be, breaking the norm. We have to think outside the box. We're in a
yes,
challenging healthcare environment.
yes,
We can't do PT like we did 10 years ago. It just doesn't work today like it used to, right? So we can be a very profitable business if we think outside the box, if we go in a different direction. We have to look at these efficiencies within our practice. Um, the biggest cost in practice and in most businesses is, the revenue per employee, right?
yes,
What is your revenue per employee? And so, the lower that revenue per employee is, the harder it is to make anything go right. So
yes,
you have to look at having a very good revenue per employee. I think someone read somewhere it was like, if you're under $120,000 per year revenue per employee, or less than that, like you're like 1 month away from a really bad
yes,
situation, right? So you need to get above that, and so we have to look at how can we do more within the clinic
yes,
with less staff, right? To
yes,
But more on the admin side and the systems and things like that, I would say, and I think that's really innovative what you've done there. And then the other side of it is, how can we add additional services? And we've been talking a lot about this in the podcast with lots of different people, is how can we add to the care that we're doing ancillary support services that people are willing to pay for, right? And there's tons of things that we can be doing there, and that brings the revenue part of it up, right? We have control over that.
yes. And if you get rid of the space that is being wasted in the front desk, you just opened the room for that ancillary service, right?
Right.
So you just open the square footage for that ancillary service, whether it's like, a stretch lab, or whether it's like,
Yeah. I mean, that could be a
having
couple hundred
cupping,
square feet that
yes,
becomes a revenue generating place, right?
revenue generating instead of cost center. Yes.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. That's really, really forward thinking. I not really, I mean, I've heard of like centralized scheduling and things like that. We work with practices
Yeah.
that are big and have centralized scheduling.
Yeah.
But to have that be a very different experience within the clinic is sort of new. I've never really heard of
Yeah.
that before, so I love it.
I mean, you want the clinic to be as much as possibly could just around the patient experience and the patient care. The
Mm-hmm.
patient experience involves a lot of the steps, but at least that part of the experience, the patient care, you want the clinic to be that. So you want to decrease the most possible frictions in and out. So the waiting time is an unnecessary friction. The financial as unnecessary friction. The schedule, those are unnecessary frictions. If
Right.
you're able to automate most of those, and if you're able to centralize most of those, again, it works better on your clinic. And then you let the admin do admin, so you have a 360 full billing cycle where it goes all the way from, okay, the lead is there, you schedule the first IE, you explain the plan of care, scheduling it going forward, assuring that those visits have proper eligibility, co-insurances, co-payments, deductibles are collected, assuring that notes are done on time, billed on time, collected on time, denials are managed, and then CPTs are scrutinized to make sure that you got the most that you could. Then you have a healthy practice.
Piece of cake.
Yeah. It's not a piece of cake, but it goes back again to the no one. So that's why not one person can do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's great when you list it out like that because you're like, holy cow, this is such a crazy profession that we're in where we have to go through all these gazillion
Yeah.
steps here to make, treat somebody, right? But that's the game. That's what we play with.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're super innovative in that. And tell me a little bit about, you were mentioning before, like, you were using some of the AI tools for billing. Is that something also you do with your whole process for the front desk? Like, where are you incorporating AI into your process and systems?
Aggressively. We try to think, as you mentioned, as much as we could outside of the box, and to be forward thinkers to the most that we could. So most of it is in trials, but we have at the moment 6 workflows that we use AI in. There are some of them that's the process. We have the results and outcomes to prove it. So when it comes to confirming appointments, we're using AI to do that. When it comes to calling people that does not have upcoming appointments, though their plan of care still states that they have upcoming appointments, our AI is able to do that. We use third-party AI to help with some of the scribing at the moment. Those are being tested. And then we do use some AR technologies on the billing end for the repetitive tasks, just to automate it, and it's called RBA. So basically, that's the name of the technology. We're doing some of that. We're doing some testing at the moment at the end of calling insurances for eligibilities, and what we're doing is we're getting 2 AIs to call the insurances at the same time, see what the outcomes are getting, and we're still having a human person triple check that. And then, over a quarter, if we're able to prove that it's just getting constant better outcome, we will be able to automate that part as well. So, again, the least friction you could possibly have from a patient experience perspective, the better it is.
Yeah.
And the way we started the conversation on, like, what's the bad decision financial to do is, that what you said, we basically don't know finance, so we should let that be handled in a manner where we get the end outcomes. What's our AR? How far is outstanding? What's our average per visit? And then from there, we're able to make sound decisions.
Fantastic. I think that too also speaks to, how you're talking about there and what you're using AI for. That if you have like an in-house biller or even billing team, there's so much rapid application of AI technology in doing all these laborious, repetitive tasks, right? It's hard to figure that stuff out on your own, and what systems to use, and how to do the GPTs and whatever else, analysis and stuff. So like that's where I think vendors and everything too can really help out a clinic because they can figure a lot of that stuff out and how to make it go faster and more efficient, and whereas it's hard to do that on your own. I know that we're doing a lot of that from the marketing side, where we're using a ton of different AI across lots of analysis and call analysis and all kinds of other stuff there that if you had someone just doing marketing in clinic, like they're not going to have all those different tools to help them get the data to make the right decisions to move the clinic forward, right? So it's the same thing that I'm seeing that you guys are really innovating on that side of it. I saw one too, and you guys probably doing this too, but like there was another company out there that we've chatted with called WizHealth, and they're more like New Mexico and that kind of area, and they were using AI to kind of like what you're saying there, where they go into the different insurance portals and it scrapes the data in terms of the authorization, comes back and kind of re-verifies stuff, and then has all the right authorization information ready to go and actually can work it into the EMR. So that way you avoid a lot of the errors in, maybe the member ID numbers or authorization numbers, like whatever it may be there. That's where efficiencies and minimizing mistakes in billing. So you get clean bills out the first time, you can get paid properly, and that just means more cash in your pocket, right?
And again, because I know a lot of people in the rehab industry might get to be a little skeptical about that. I want to assure you, insurance companies are already doing that, right? So they are already having calls generated from AI. They are already sending audits generated from AI. They are already doing, billing trends based on AI. So insurance companies are already doing it. And again, as you mentioned, we're just playing the game.
Yeah, they're just going to speed up their AI denials.
Yes. And then again, like I'm sure and we talked about that. Every AI product that is out there is going to be outdated in less than 5 years. So every product that is out there that is AI probably is not going to exist in 5 years from now. So we're betting on who's capable to constantly develop to what the industry needs. And I don't think there is a lot of people who are specialized in marketing the same way practice promotion are, or specialized in billing and rehab industry the same way GoBill is. And there is it takes a lot of intricate details that people at Google and Microsoft might get harder time to get it, because there's things that happens in the clinic. If you didn't grow out of it, you're just not going to be able to develop a product that fits that market specifically. So
exactly, yeah, great insight there. So it's really exciting to hear. You've done so much innovation there. Congratulations on growing a 16 location enterprise clinic, and now taking what you've known to work really well and innovations that you've done and going beyond that to help more clinics with GoBill there from the billing side of it, and also the front desk component of it too, right? The kind of administrative side of it. So for our listeners out there, how can they get more information about what you do and what GoBill does?
Sure. They could go on our website, and I'm happy to chat on my LinkedIn. They could get to my LinkedIn just searching with my name, and then my email is my first dot my last name at gobill.co. So I'm happy to chat always, and then I'm sure I'll have a couple of insights to share, and I would love to exchange notes and learn from all the folks out there.
Awesome. Yeah, so for our audience there, it's gobill.co, and you can connect with Motaz there on LinkedIn. So it's Motaz, and last name is Ebeido. So check out and connect with Motaz there on LinkedIn. He can answer your questions there. And phenomenal service, phenomenal team. We worked with Motaz and his team. I can't say enough about them. So go check them out, see if they could be a good solution for your practice and help you increase your revenues into your business. So thanks for being on the podcast, Motaz.
Neil, it's been a pleasure. Always good to see you, and always good to chat with you, and lovely to talk about how we could develop our beautiful industry. So thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thanks to our audience out there. Appreciate you taking the time to listen here. Hope you got a lot out of today's podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. You can do that on Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts, sorry. And then also check out our YouTube channel. where we've got tons of great interviews and downloads and tips for you there. And you can subscribe to our channel on YouTube and at practicepromotions.net, where you can get tons of marketing ideas and tips and downloads there on our website. So thank you to our audience. And this is Neil from the Practice Marketing Podcast, wishing you much success in your practice.
A free way for you to support our show is by leaving a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It's a chance for you to tell us what you love about the show, and it helps others discover it as well. Just scroll down to ratings and review on your phone and click write a review. Thanks.